2 hours later.
While 17 other passengers drowned, Frank survived the fall and swam ashore with a broken arm and hypothermia. A year later, while on his first and only plane ride flying from Zagreb to Rijeka, the back door blasted open, sucking everyone into the sky, killing 19 people. Amazingly, Frank landed on a haystack with only minor scratches. 4 years later, Frank boarded a transport bus.
Welcome back to my channel, guys. I hope you guys are having a great day. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and leave a like on the video. Today we will be checking out some more story time, so no further ado, let's get in.
Caught my sister and husband in bed. Dear Pastor, I am 30 and I got married 3 years ago. My husband is a charming man. We live in the US. I have 2 sisters. One is 20, the other is 18. The 20-year-old is spending time with us. She's always admiring my husband, and she always told me how we had a lovely figure and we used to joke about it.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
I am a nurse, so I work on shifts. One day, my sister was in bed when I left for work. I thought my husband was going to work, but I forgot it was his day off. While I was at work, I called my sister and my husband answered. He asked me what I wanted to eat when I got home. So I told him to prepare something that he knew I would enjoy. I asked him for my sister. He said that she was still in bed because she was tired. When I hung up the phone, I started to wonder why she's so tired, but I dismissed the thought. An hour later, I called again. This time, she answered. I asked her what was going on, and she said she was not feeling very well. I told her I had to work a little later than usual, so she should tell my husband not to prepare the food too early. I was concerned about my sister, so I asked another nurse to cover for me and I left work. To my surprise, when I got home, my husband and my sister were in bed. They were shocked to see me. My husband tried to explain himself, but the more he talked, the more he sounded stupid. Both of them were nude. I got so mad that I threw anything that I was able to grab at them until my husband held me back. I told my sister to get out. I threw out some of her clothes. Neighbors saw something was wrong and came over. My sister was sitting on the floor crying. I told her that she's a wicked girl and I would kill her. I called my parents and told them what I had seen. They tried to talk to my sister, but she wouldn't respond. My husband and my sister planned this whole thing. We did not have children, but I am glad we don't. I don't want this man in my life anymore. When my sister used to tell me how attractive my husband was, I never thought she wanted an affair with him. This girl has a boyfriend.
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
And he treats her well. I could not go to work for 3 days. I always go the extra mile to keep my husband happy. We have not hugged or kissed since the incident. I hate my sister and I can never trust.
Oh shit, that's deep. Oh my god. Guys, never get yourself in a situation like this. If you're married, respect your marriage. You know what I'm saying? You committed to that person for a reason. Try to remind yourself every day why you made that decision to commit to that person, because that's what relationship is about and that's what love is about. Her sister was very fucked up for doing that too, so it's both of their faults. But guys, never let a situation like that get you. Whether or not you're married, I should say, cheating is not right. It's a no.
Frank Selak, known as the luckiest unlucky man that has lived, seemed to have a superpower of surviving everything life and death threw at him. In January 1962, Frank boarded a train that was suddenly derailed. The train plunged into an icy river. While 17 other passengers drowned, Frank survived the fall and swam ashore with a broken arm and hypothermia. A year later, while on his first and only plane ride flying from Zagreb to Rijeka, the back door blasted open.
Something happened.
Sucking everyone into the sky, killing 19 people. Amazingly, Frank landed on a haystack with only minor scratches.
Interesting.
4 years later, Frank boarded a transport bus. The bus skidded and plunged into a river, sinking all the way down. Yet again, Frank survived the fall and swam to the surface, then to the shore with a few cuts and bruises. In 1970, Frank was driving his car when an engine failure ignited the fuel tank, bursting the car into flames.
Oh, hell no.
Frank jumped out of the vehicle just before it exploded. A few years later, the same thing happened with his new car. While his hair was completely singed,
Alright, are you sure they're not trying to kill this guy? There's no way. Someone is trying to kill this guy.
Frank otherwise exited the vehicle safely. In 1995, he was hit by a city bus and then again by a truck.
Oh my
He survived that freak
God.
accident too.
Whoa.
In 1996, he was involved in a head-on collision on a mountain curve. Frank was not wearing a seatbelt and was ejected out of the car, clinging to a tree branch as he watched his vehicle fall 300 feet. What? 2 days after his 73rd birthday, Frank won the lottery for $1.1 million. At the time of his win, he also married for the 5th time.
Whoa! Oh my God, that's insane. That's crazy. But shout out to Frank for living so long.
I'm going to hell for this and I do not care. Back when I was growing up, I always seemed to float between two worlds. In school, I would be considered to be a quiet nerd that was left alone. At home, hung out with a pretty rough crowd and was always getting into trouble. Between the drinking, the fighting, the substances, and other dumb shit, I always tried to keep those two worlds separate. I got bused to a different school due to being special ed, so keeping the two separate was pretty easy for the most part. There were at times some bleed over. At times, I was in woodshop class and the style at the time was to have the Velcro straps hanging off the back of my high tops and another student grabbed them, causing me to fall. He ended up in the hospital for catching a claw hammer in the face. Between having to deal with the psychological counseling and the trial, I decided to avoid this kind of petty crap in the future. I sent the message and it was heard loud and clear. I pretty much had the reputation of don't F with him. When he snaps, he is dangerous. As I cleaned up my drinking and drug use, I figured I would leave the violence as well. Not that I was not good at inflicting it on people, but quite the opposite. I was too good at it, and having fed the darkness within, the high was better than any drug. Fast forward some years and I am attending a local community college, and while I am no longer running with the same violent crowd, but I still see them every now and then. I am taking some classes with my friend's little sister, and having seen her go from a bratty little girl to a woman kind of made it like she was another younger sister to me. She had started dating a guy who I knew from reputation to be a real piece of shit from high school. This guy was a year younger than me, and the rumors floating around was the school did nothing about how he would grope females in the hallway.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Because he was the star WR for the football team.
What?
He lost his scholarship to the state college due to his grades, but the rumor was he had a few assault allegations that were swept under the rug. I inform her of what I know about the guy, but she does not listen to me. After class, I approach the POS to inform him that his GF is someone I think of as a little sister and to tread lightly. She attended a school function with POS and then she was missing from all of her classes for the next week, so I drop off the notes at her parents' house. I found out POS had roofied her drink, took advantage of her at the function, and left her there under the bleachers for people to be found. To make matters even worse, he gave her a few STDs. The revenge on my part was I knew where he parked for classes every day, so I skipped class and waited for him to go return to his car to beat him down. Due to him driving an SUV, I knew he kept a broom in there for cleaning off his car for snow. I had taken a pair of brass knuckles and I went to town on him. I grabbed the broom and carried him into the woods to stick that broom where the sun don't shine. I left him bent over a picnic table with the broom sticking out his ass like I just planted a flag. I strolled into the local pharmacy to pick up some hydrogen peroxide to clean off the blood, and I go visit her older brother at the prison to give him a heads up. I tell him what happened, what I did, and to keep an eye out for him on the inside. I must have a guardian angel, as the list of people who wanted him dead for doing similar things was quite long. I got questioned about him, but I gave them nothing and pointed them towards the people I suspected might have been victims of him in the past. The black hole revenge. I made a few inquiries into where this POS was going to be sent to once he got out of the hospital. Turns out he was going into one of the camps at the same prison the older brother was at. Even though it was a different unit, it was still close enough in the sphere of influence that he could be gotten to. I was given a few names to make contact with and drop off some cash for the commissary to grease a few wheels to get at POS. I figured that he would have been shanked and it would have been done with him. Turns out POS was gang assaulted by 10 guys, one of which infected him with HIV. They slit his rectum to make it wetter and to increase the possibility of infection. After doing all of the messaging, I was approached by someone who played a cell phone video of the whole thing before I went into class. Turns out he died of sepsis a few weeks later. The orderly was pocketing the antibiotics and pain pills. He was double dipping as he was paid to do this, and he sold off those pills as well. The only witness to my part of the revenge was now dead, and all that was left was trying to rebuild little sis. I know I'm going to hell for this, but I do not care. Maybe the nightmares I had for years after this will be penance enough, but who knows?
Oh my days, bruh, that was wild. I did not see that coming. I did not expect that, but shit. You're a good big brother. I will say that much because if someone did that to my sister, bruh, I probably would have done worse. You know what I'm saying? Or do the same thing. But at the same time, guys, violence is not the answer. But sometimes it is necessary. Alright, but hey, that's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I definitely did. If you're new to the channel, please leave a like on the video and subscribe, and we welcome you to our community. I'll see you guys in the next one.